Welcome, Radiant Souls, to the Ouroboros Outlook for April 2023. It's really hard to believe that a quarter of this year has gone by already, and what a year it's been. Many changes, rapid pace of those changes, and we're constantly having to adjust and adapt as the year goes on. This is a great time for developing our awareness and our higher consciousness as the planet and the universe as a whole is moving into a new time of being. Those changes are going to manifest and impact on us. So if you've been feeling a bit out of sorts and a bit up and down like a roller coaster, or you're wondering what on earth's going on with the speed of life this year, just know that you are preparing your higher consciousness as a being of the light. So for April, we've got a bonus card this time. I've done a 5-card draw plus an animal totem. And as I was drawing the 5 cards, another one threw itself out as an overarching card for this reading. So in that card, can we see it? It's a little hard. There we go. It's the 9 of Diamonds. Diamonds represent our soul pathway, our soul purpose, and just where we are going on a soul level. And the number 9 indicates completion, closure, finish, the end. So what this is telling us is that we have come to the end of a soul cycle in April. We're getting ready for those new soul pathways that we saw earlier in the year to make themselves present and really come to the fore. Now, this is an exciting time because with all the planetary energies that we're seeing in the universe, and with that whole acceleration of consciousness and awareness, with much more people beginning to awaken to their inner selves, to their multi-layered being, and to their own consciousness, realizing that there is something more in this world than just our physical everyday existence. This is a great time for us to be experiencing the closure of an old way of being in our souls, preparing for what is new and what will be coming and beginning in April. So the first card is the 7 of Clubs. Clubs represents our mental thoughts, our thinking, our thought processes. Now, when we're in 7, this means it's something that has already physically manifested and started. That point of physical manifestation is at the 6, which would be the same as maybe the birth of a baby. That was always represented by the 6 on the Ouroboros. So the 7 means this is something that we're already thinking about. Or we've had a new way of processing our thoughts. We perceive ourselves differently. We perceive our place in the world differently. Whatever it is that's relevant to you, just know that this is something that you have already made a start on. The second card is the 9 of Spades. Now, we had the 9 over here with the soul pathway in the diamonds. Again, 9 is completion. It is the finish of something. And Spades always represents physical tasks, physical work, physical hobbies. Whatever it is that we are actually doing, it is something physical. It's not something we're thinking about. It's not something we're feeling. It is an actual physical situation. Often this card is to do with our career or our job. It can be a hobby. It can be an exercise program. It can be a new diet you're wanting to start, a new club that you're joining, or getting out in the yard and doing some gardening, building something, whatever it is, but it's always something that we do. It's something physical. So whatever you've been working on, this is coming to an end. Maybe you're about to finish one job, getting ready to move to something else. Maybe you've had a big project around that you're wanting to finish off. And because we're completing the soul pathway with the 9 of diamonds, perhaps this physical manifestation has had a connection to your old soul pathway. So perhaps it's the physicality of what you did with that pathway that is drawing to a close. Whatever it is, this is a great thing because as one door closes, another one in time will open. The third card today is the 8 of Clubs. Now, these cards are not in any particular first, second, third, fourth. They all interact together. So the fact that we've got the 7 and the 8 of Clubs relating to thinking, to thought processes, to perhaps how you think about yourself, how you think about your place in the world, whatever those thoughts are, not only are you started or have you started this, but the 8 indicates that you're actually quite a way down the track. So if we looked at the 7 as, we talked about the 6 being, say, the birth of a baby. Now the 7 might be when we come to the end of childhood and we're young adults. The 8 could then be middle age, moving into our more senior years, and the 9 would be when our physical life ends. So we're now well established with the 7, very well established with the 8. This is often the prime time. This is when whatever you're working on or thinking about is at its peak, because after that, it starts to wind up to the 9 when it finally finishes. So you are well involved with this kind of thinking. Whatever it is that you are partway into, and that you are really starting to develop and expand on in a real way, not just something that's in your head anymore. This is you using these thoughts, using this way of being. Keep going, because you're right at the pinnacle of whatever this is. And you'll know it for you. It will almost always be the first or second thing that just pops into your head as you listen to this. You'll know what it is. I know what mine is, and you'll know what it is for you. So the 4th card in the Ouroboros reading is the 8 of Spades. We've got a lot of actual between 6 and 9 going on here. Now, this is when something has manifested. It's actually a reality. And it's something that you can see yourself doing, you can hear yourself doing, you are aware of it. It's not just conceptual anymore. This is a reality for you. Again, because it's in Spades, this means it's something physical that you're working on. So it could be that job, it could be your hobby, that plan for your health and wellness, whatever it is, it will have a physical component to it. And the 8 again, this is the point where you've reached the pinnacle with whatever it is you're doing. You've got through the biggest part of it, and then from the 8 down to the 9, this is the winding up so that that physical project is now completed. So it's slightly further on than the thoughts, which are at the 7 and the 8. The physical manifestation is between 8, which is pretty much the pinnacle, and 9, which is the completion. And the 5th card, there we go. Another black card, another spade. Very interesting, apart from the 9 of diamonds that is overlooking this whole reading, talking about the end of a soul pathway or a soul journey for us. We're not preparing for the new yet. We're just winding up this one so that we can close that door and allow the new door to open in time. But when we're looking at a 3, 3 is a major threshold. It basically represents the conception of something. So when a baby is conceived, that conception is at 3. Again, it's a physical manifestation, something that you are physically doing. So perhaps it was a new job. You've seen a job advertised, or somebody has asked you, oh, there's a job opening over here. Would you be interested? And so you've already had a bit of a think about that. And you thought, yes, I'll have a go. So this is before you do your prep, before you get yourself organized with your CV, before you research the company to see what they're all about, what their stand on things is, all this kind of stuff that you do before you go in for an interview. This is before you've even put in the application. This is just that point where you think, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I will have a go. So you've got something new that you may not know that you've actually said, yes, I'll have a go. Sometimes these things are not physically obvious to us. It might just be that there's something and it's twigged an idea in your mind and you're contemplating it. You're looking at the possibility of what this would be. So even though you may not think yet, yes, this is what it is. Often our soul, in fact, not often, always our soul is ahead of us. It's ahead of our conscious mind. Our conscious mind is incredibly slow. It's very limited, and it is the densest mind we have. The soul mind, in comparison, is very fast. It pops things up without us even really noticing them. Now, if we're so busy doing something else, we may not see that pop-up has occurred, but it still has. It's still there, and it's still floating around for our soul to recognize. And if we give it the go-ahead, it will start manifesting more and more opportunity towards that pop-up. So it could just be that you've had a pop-up. Friends of mine decided that they wanted to sell up and move overseas. Now, when that idea first came in, it was just like that. Since then, they've gone through that process that comes after, and they're actioning it. But that immediate thought, or a person suddenly turning up at your door and making you an offer that makes you think, oh, that sounds interesting. That's what the 3 is about. This 3 is where you've been introduced to the concept of a new job, a career, changing from your corporate job into doing something for yourself, something more in alignment with what you perceive as your soul purpose and your heart calling. Perhaps you've made a thought about wanting to do that, changing that physical pathway. You may have seen an ad in social media, on TV, heard it on the radio, read it in a book or in a newspaper, and thought, oh, I really like the sound of that exercise program, or that way of eating, or those wellness principles fit with me. I wonder, that's what that 3 of spades is guiding you towards. So a very interesting month. This is, apart from our 3, which is that new conception coming through, the rest of the month is a doing month. It's a busy, full-on physical work or hobby, whatever. It's a physical working on something, and it's the mental thinking or processing while you do that, all the while knowing that our soul journey on this layer, whatever that layer is for you, is completing, which will mean that you've got something new getting ready to come in. So the animal totem for this month is the fox. I always find the fox a really interesting totem to work with. Often the fox gets a bit of a bad rap, being sly, devious, cunning, low to the ground, sneaking around, stealing and eating chickens, and so on and so forth. But the fox itself is very aware, just like you need to be very aware. If you're going to see these soul pop-ups, you need to be able to notice them when they turn up. You'll think, oh, that's different. I wonder what that's about. You do not have to have the answers. In fact, usually we don't. The soul pops up in such a way. It comes in with something a bit out of left field, and it always primes us up. It's many steps ahead of that slow, conscious mind. The soul will pop these things up, and the more we recognize it, that's interesting. That's when the soul can really get in and do its work. One of the hardest things for us to do is to actually step back out of the soul's way and allow it to guide us. Many times we want to use this slow, dense, conscious mind, which is only 12.5% of our lower order thinking. We often want to use that to push through, to slam the goal, to beat the opposition, whatever it is, or to think, gosh, I've got this going on in my life. I have to do this. Soul doesn't work that way. The soul will show you what you need. It will bring people to you. It will bring opportunities to you. That new job that might be sitting here, or the new career, the new whatever it is, the new house, the new baby. It's not going to be something that you have to sort out consciously. All that does is slow down the process. It gets in the way of the soul manifestation, and often it can prevent us from seeing those pop-ups. So the fox is here this month in part to say, be aware. The fox is very wary of its environment. It notices what's going on around it. It needs to for its own survival. So we're being prompted to be aware. The fox also is a great opportunity taker. And the caption on this fox card says, think on your feet. Now, what that means is that we need to be prepared to pivot, to change, to move away from what we thought, which is the old stuff here, what we thought life was about, what we thought we were doing, what we thought our physical expectation was, or how we thought about ourselves, because we are completing this soul journey. So we need to be ready to pivot, to change, to realign, because that soul, represented by this 9, is asking us to be ready for the incoming. And with fox turning up, it's another perfect indicator that this is exactly what April is going to be about. Does this mean it's going to be an easy ride this month? No, not at all. Not at all. February we saw was a gentler energy, but that was about us being gentle. March was a month of acceleration and rapid speed. But man, that came with all kinds of roller coasters and bumps and chaos from the outside of us, challenging us to see where we stand with something. So this month we are being asked to be ready, to pivot, to look and feel and take on opportunities that resonate with us. One way that I know whether that opportunity is actually in alignment with myself is if I see it 3 times. Or I'm very good at getting goosebumps up my body. And if I get very strong goosebumps, I know that this is an alignment. But sometimes if you're not used to working with a soul as your guiding path, and you're just beginning to learn how to use the soul to bring you forward with opportunities, You may be questioning. You may say, well, how do I know I didn't just make that up? I have heard people say that so many times. I used to say that before I came to a point where I know when my soul talks to me now. And I also trust and believe in my soul to give me the messages, and trust and believe in myself to be able to listen to my soul. But if you're still working on developing that, look for the 3 indications. So you might say, let's just say somebody said to you, do you want to go on a holiday to Hawaii with me? And you thought, well, that sounds great. But is this the right thing for me? And then you're driving home and you see a billboard with palm trees on it. You turn on the TV and there's a program about, travel to Hawaii this summer. Or there's something else that, the golden sands of Waikiki or whatever it is. But you'll see something that means Hawaii to you. Now, if you see 1, 2, 3, or you hear them, or you feel them, or you dream about it, then you know that you are in alignment with what your soul is saying. This is not then something that you've just made up. So there's no need to worry about that. If you listen to yourself, you can always tell the difference between something you made up and something that comes from the heart or from your soul. And your soul resides in part in your heart flame, in your pineal, and above your head. So if you're getting some kind of tingling, or you just feel when something's right for you, it just hits you in the heart, and you know that this is just something that's very close to you, close to your heart, close to what you mean as a person, to your authenticity. You know then that you are not making it up, but you are actually working with your soul guidance. So that's what Fox is here to remind us of. This is not about being sneaky and deceitful and cunning and crafty. If you could box that up and put them into positive attributes, you would see that maybe the cunning or the sneaky or the down to the ground might just be about holding some of those cards close to your chest for now, because it might not be time to share them with everybody for whatever reason. Or it might be, perhaps it's that new job and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure if this job is actually going to come to me. It may be given to someone else. But I don't think I'll just jump in and tell my workplace just yet until I'm absolutely sure. I'll hold those cards close to my chest. When I know that this is confirmed, then I can share that information. So in that way, it's not about being sneaky and deceitful. It's just about timing. So that is the Ouroboros Outlook for the month of April in 2023. A very exciting time of closure, of finishing off that soul journey that you have been on. This is time for you to elevate. You don't have to find out how to do that. It's going to happen. You cannot stop it. So no worries about wonder what soul journey I need to take next. Your soul has already got that worked out. You do not need to think about, oh, I wonder what new thoughts I should have or what new job I should have. Just give yourself that grace of space. Relax. Ease back on it. Just keep going with that completion. If you've got something out there that you need to finish it off, just get on and wrap it up rather than leaving it on the shelf and never actually getting that completion done, because it's going to finish whether you have done the last steps there or not. And be aware that you've got a new pop-up coming in. That pop-up is probably something you've already experienced, even though you may not be aware of it. So have a wonderful April, and I will see you in May with the Ouroboros Outlook for May of 2023. Bye for now.